It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He is Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley. As we begin a brand new Friday, Gary, hello. How are you?
But first off, I mean, about a week ago, we got into this thing about whether people are idiots or morons, and we couldn't settle it. Apparently, you got some correspondence on this.
All right.
So, from what I hear,
a doctor writes, and thank you for writing, Jay, or should I call you Dr. J?
Dr. J.
Yeah. So,
wow, maybe
Dr.
he really
J,
isn't a doctor.
He put MD after his name in the email.
He is
that
okay.
Guarantees that he's a doctor.
Okay, Dr. J never did that.
No,
the basketball doctor.
Exactly.
Okay.
So he writes, Eric, historical perspective. I had to look up perspective. The introduction, and then I had to look up introduction, of the IQ test, is that anything like the DQ test, was followed by a classification system that used such terms as moron, IQ of 51 to 70, imbecile, IQ of 26 to 50, and idiot, IQ of 0 to 25. So calling leftists morons means you might think they're more intelligent than idiots. I'm not sure that's the case. Well, Dr. J, that's because I'm a moron. I'm smarter than they are, but not much.
Not by much.
Not much. I can brag, but
Oh, my God.
thank you, Doc. We appreciate that. That's beautiful. We just had the best time in the pre-show meeting with that.
Oh, what a great way to start
really
the show.
I love it.
Seriously.
And then, of course, I had to Google it because I never even believed my own doctor. It's like it goes, oh, that thing is nothing. It's yeah, really, because it looks like something. It's nothing. And then I get home, I'm Googling it. I Google this? Does this look infected? You shouldn't do that on Google. But anyway, I decided after Dr. J wrote me, I thought, oh, you know what? I never actually did Google it. So I Googled it, and he's absolutely right. So, of course. Well, Doc, thank you so much.
Then if you act, that's the sign of somebody that's smarter than an idiot.
Yes.
Right? Because an idiot is...
Oh, I'm a complete moron.
No, wait, a moron is over an idiot.
Idiot is the lowest.
Idiot's the lowest. And
You
then
could have an IQ down to 0. I don't even...
Wow.
Yeah.
Then I was wrong because I think I came up with
two idiots?
The slogan, if the two idiots overnight understand it.
Yeah, because we got...
Oh, no, maybe that would be correct because that would be the lowest level of intelligence.
Yeah.
Okay,
Because
all
we got called idiots, for the longest time. It was like, all right, yeah, we're idiots. But if we can understand it, then you can too, basically.
Right.
And so, yeah. So
So it's idiots.
And then imbecile.
Imbecile
is
and then moron.
Mid-range liberal. And then moron would moron be those that say the idiots are crazy, but they're still a liberal? Like a Rahm Emanuel or somebody like that. Is he a moron?
That's the three class.
Is he moron level?
It's the three classifications of Democrats.
Exactly. Yeah. And I don't even know where Kamala fits in.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
Please, on that tour, please, I think that the Democrats ought to look at this and say, you're going to do a tour. It's going to be quite organized, right?
Yeah, right.
That you need to take as much video of that as possible and make sure that the world sees it. Right?
Yeah.
They ought to do a documentary on this. When I saw that yesterday, social media went bonkers, especially when they came out, basically the tour and where it's going to be.
Yeah.
And I do like the fact that she's going to Toronto because with some of the laws and regulations are coming up in Canada, she'll fit right in.
Yeah. Look, it was the day before they announced her book. You and I were breaking it down going, look.
This is her book tour, right?
Right. This is her book tour, 107 days, which oddly enough, the book is only 102 pages. And it costs $1.5 billion, just like her campaign. But we said, and it literally was the day before they announced that she's going to release a book. We said, we were talking about the idea of her not running in 28. All right, then what do you do? All right, you've been a vice president. Go do the speaking engagements would be what you would traditionally do.
Right.
And we said, no, don't do that. If you're Kamala Harris, avoid that. Write the book. And you're going to have a ghostwriter help you with everything, like spelling. And
completing a coherent sentence.
Sentence structure.
Sentence coherence.
That's right. Avoiding the word salads. Oh, my gosh. Oh, no. And so at that point, it's like, yeah, you got to do the book tour. But you can keep that. You got to keep it limited. You got to do the signings. You got to do the waving, the smiling. Don't do big, long speeches. It would be best if you didn't say anything. But
well, I don't know. Maybe she should just do speeches. She gets into problems because these book tours, you're asked questions. That's a problem.
Yeah, well, that's why I said keep it to the signing type book tour thing where you're in the
bookstore.
Do they even? I was going to say, do they even have bookstores anymore?
It's a great point.
Wow, it's I don't know
about that.
But you go to your major blue cities, and go to New York, Chicago, L.A. You do just an appearance thing. You take pictures, you sign books, and you move on. But, yeah, if you're going to sit down in the media and do this, which apparently is going to be how this is going to be run, it's just going to become more and more of a problem.
Didn't someone come after us? I don't know if they were trying to – I can't remember if it was one of those places that said, well, if you pay us $1 million, we'll publish a book for you, or whether – it was a publisher, but in my mind, I remember someone coming after us concerning a book.
Yeah, we were approached,
and we said, hell no. It's like, well, they all do it. It's like I'm no interest in writing a book. This is what I do. I don't write books. I don't want a ghostwriter doing it.
Well, the thing is that I would want to write it with my smarminess. So comedy would have to be a big part of it.
And it won't come through.
Well, the thing is that it's not like it's necessarily just going to write itself. You know what I mean? For me, I'm going to be very selective about how I would put it together, because books come together these days very quickly. With big name, celebrity types and former VPs and all that. The book deals just, well, like us, they just kind of come to you, and then all of a sudden, hey, we'll put everything together for you. You just give us your thoughts, and all you have to do is talk to us over the phone. And it's like, no, I would need to structure that myself, and I'm a moron. And I think it would take too long. I think any publisher would get frustrated with me.
I remember when, I think it was Sean Hannity wrote one of his books that he wrote.
Yeah.
And so I'm guessing this goes back to 2003 when I was doing my local talk show. And I remember I was coming back. I was in downtown Dallas. It was New Year's Eve. And I had done intermission of a hockey game.
Yeah.
And my buddy Jeff called me. He was with his buddy, Jim and their wives and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And they were in the background going, "Hey, man, where's your book?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, and I think it was Jim, who in the background said, "I just read his book. You're on page 243 or something like that." I went, "I am?" And I never got the book to see if I was on it, but he was like, yeah. No, I did check. Somebody sent me the page. I got the page sent to me where he, whatever, I can't remember what it was about.
I'm in two of Mark Levin's books. He mentions morons 14 times.
Well, they asked me, and they go, "When are you going to write your book?" I go, "Stop it. I have no interest in writing a book." For me, it's as simple as I have no interest in writing a book. Mm-hmm. I do the things that I want to do, and this is what I like doing. I'm a radio guy. I
thought I could make it come out like what we do here. That's the problem.
Well, you've gone a step further than I have.
Yeah. If I thought that it would translate, and writing is not like that. I know people who are comedy writers. I know people who write for sitcoms. A guy who wrote for Jay Leno on the Tonight Show for years. It's not like that when you're talking about writing a book. Unless you're doing a descriptive of, behind the scenes look at, whatever, and it's more technical. Or if you're Jordan Peterson, someone like that, okay, you're writing about stuff because you've got the clinical mind, and these are things that you've been actually writing about for a long, long time. You're just putting a book out for the public. He's been writing papers for who knows how long, right? So these are people that always write. Well, for me, you and I don't write things. We don't come in with a script. We don't jot notes down or anything else. The only thing we do is come in, turn the mics on after doing show prep all day, and we go. I couldn't do it by a script.
For the first time in ages, and I had to go find a pen. I had something in my mind the other day, and I jotted down like 3 things.
Yeah.
On just, I don't even have a pad in front of me, just on one of my stories where it was free. And I says, I just want to remember it in that order.
Right.
I can't remember what it was about, but I was like, wow, I never jot stuff down.
I think it was the economy. I think it was something. Here's what you would have to do in the economy.
That's right. That's right. What would you? What would we do if we were going to? And I just wanted to jot it down in that particular order.
Zero taxes and corporate tax,
tax,
and which you started out with.
And I said we'd never get.
Isn't going to happen, but if you wanted to do pro growth policy now.
But I know you. I think we've had this talk. One of the worst things I ever had to do in radio, and it's when the internet came out and all of our bosses were coming and saying, "You need to write your blog."
Oh my gosh.
About, what we talk on the air. No, make it something different. Talk about your personal life.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a damn. I mean, we can talk about it a little bit here, but it's not the entire show. And I hated that. And I remember, I don't know how long I did it for. It was like, you've got to, where's your weekly blog? And that was, I sat going, no, I can't. I don't know. I never knew where to start.
Right.
I never knew where I should start in order to do a blog. Like, what's the first sentence? I was like George and Jerry writing the pilot.
Yeah, exactly.
Remember?
Yeah.
That was like.
Because it was a forced thing that it was deadline and quota. It wasn't about writing, writing something in terms of actually communicating something.
Well, or analyzing what's going on during the day, because that's what we do every day. That's our minds are totally focused on what happened yesterday. How do we analyze it? How do we, organize it? What topics are we going to cover on the air? And that's it. That's what we do.
Right.
And what audio cuts can we have? Any of the comedy, we get this all the time. You guys write great comedy. None of it's written.
It's all ad-lib, and most of it happens within seconds of it entering my mind. It goes on the air.
And you can't tell it from me because mine's natural. But, yes, Eric, you can see when he stumbles over the comedy.
Because I'm a moron. But, and that's the thing. Like, today's Substack is huge. But if you're talking Michael Schellenberger, Matt Taibbi, these kind of people
they're writers.
And they're communicating real information. They're reporting, they're communicating real ideas and information that they're finding through their work. That's important. That's like Jordan Peterson. Here are the findings in a study, and here's what I know based on this clinical experience of mine. Those types of things, to me, are fascinating. I don't have that experience.
How many times have I said, probably to you off the air and on the air, I want to read this portion of an article because it's written brilliantly.
Oh, yeah.
And they're saying the exact same things that we have said on the air, but they put it in such a concise manner.
Yes.
And the way they organize it, I'll be blunt, had more impact than when I said it.
Yeah, right.
And so I have great admiration for people that can write. It's just something that I've never had any interest in, and it is the most painful thing in the world for me to do.
I've written business proposals and somehow, and probably, I don't know if it was out of desperation or what, but somehow I was able to structure those and actually get the language down in business proposals. But that's very different. That's a communication between two parties for a very specific purpose. And you know, it worked out in the few cases that I had to do it over the years. But if I'm going to write a book, that's not the passion is here every night. What we do here, and if I could make it come out like that,
well, there's a certain rhythm and schedule, that we've done tens of thousands of times.
Right.
It was hard in the beginning, but it's just like this is also dominant in your life too. For you and I, we don't have producers. We don't have any. We don't people that say, okay, here's all your stuff. We've got to do that all ourselves.
Right.
We really don't have time to write a book.
Right.
That's the other thing too, or have time to learn to write a book.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing. The technical part of it. Right.
866-90 Red Eye.
This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance. Keep your engine humming in the heat this summer by keeping up with preventive maintenance. Think your PM is complete after your oil is changed? Think again. There's grease, transmission fluids, and gear oil to consider too. Clean gear oil, for example, extends gear, bearing, and seal life. It also protects against low-speed, high-torque wear and high-speed scoring. That means not only longer equipment life and reduced maintenance costs, but also improved fuel economy and lower operating costs. So the next time you plan for your oil change purchase, don't neglect lubrication and inspection, especially on components and parts that work hard to keep your vehicle running safe and smooth.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
It is Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up following the bottom of the hour, we'll look into the first level of the appeals court in New York, throwing out the just the horrendous fraud fine against Trump. And by the way, that was unanimous. That was all the judges doing that.
Yeah.
The charge still sticks. That will be gone, by the way.
Right. Yeah,
Now, I was surprised that this level even got rid of the entire fine. I was surprised because it is New York, but they even saw the absurdity of it. But we'll get to that in some specifics here coming up following the bottom of the hour. It was a very, very busy day yesterday politically, and so we'll get to everything. You saw that the mayoral the Democrats revoked the mayoral endorsement for the communist, for the Minneapolis commie. We'll get to that coming up.
Observing and analyzing the insanity. Eric Harley and Gary McNamara. Nightly on Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. You know, it's always interesting. Maybe we should come up with it because I see it more often now. You and I talk about when people disagree with us on the issues. How many of the times? It's like 95% of the time almost. And we find this fascinating, that when people accuse us of saying something, it's something that we didn't even say. Mm-hmm. And I find that fascinating that that's the majority of the complaints that we got. I got one this week, and I just went, I got to make sure that I throw this one out there. And it was, you and I this week talking about the fact a couple of times that that all of the allegations of, Israel being involved in a genocide disappeared. I know yesterday we read a National Review article on it that said, where did they all go? Mm-hmm. Where just a couple of days ago it was, they committed genocide. A listener wrote to me, said, I don't know if I can listen to you guys anymore. I agree with you so much of the time, but you're totally off. And the headline of the message was, no one's starving in Gaza. And that was the accusation, that we said nobody has starved in Gaza, which, of course, is something we've never said.
No.
What we have said is there is no evidence, there's no empirical evidence that Israel is involved in a genocide, right? That it is Hamas. And if there is starvation or mass starvation, it's being caused by Hamas. Mm-hmm. We have never said no one has starved in Gaza. We don't know that. We would never say, we'd never make a statement of something that we don't know.
Right.
Someone has probably starved in 100 different countries. Mm-hmm. We have no ability to know whether that was the case of somebody in Gaza. The specific thing we addressed is there is no evidence that Israel is involved in a genocide. Now, the interesting thing is that happened earlier this week, and then we talked about it yesterday. And one of the reasons, and today, I saw that the same allegation was thrown at Barry Weiss, the same thing in social media, Barry Weiss and the Free Press. You guys are still saying that no one starved in Gaza. And I'm thinking to myself, I never heard Barry Weiss say that. And wow, we just got accused of saying something that we've never said. So maybe we should do that once in a while, just come up with the the criticism we get that is based on something that we've never said.
Right.
I find it fascinating and it happens all the time. And it's just like, wow, we don't talk about it much, but sometimes it gets just to be so ridiculous that I thought yesterday, maybe we'll start doing a segment every week. The dumbest attack we've got that is based on something that we've never said.
Well, it sometimes makes me think, reading some of these communications, email or social media posts or messages, sometimes it has me thinking, these people aren't listening to our show. They were listening to something else, thinking it was us.
That's my response the majority of the time. Well, I didn't respond to that person. It's like, no, that's so dumb. You're not listening, but I have done it in the past, saying, please listen to what we say. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's again, quite often we'll get the accusation of something that we didn't say, and it's
and we'll look at each other and, do you remember saying this? No.
Right.
Did you say this?
Look, no, I'm a moron. I say moronic things, but
I'm a level below a moron. I'm an imbecile.
Yeah.
Imbecile.
Sometimes I can be a complete idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess that's what they mean by complete idiot.
So it's
right?
idiot, imbecile, and then
and then the genius of the family, the moron.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. J, for clarifying that.
That's right.
All right, so Letitia James. Duh. We knew this was going to happen.
Yeah, it seemed very clear that Trump was going to win this in the courts. We felt that Trump would win this in the courts. This is one more step. The New York Appeals Court throwing out the $500 million civil fraud penalty against Trump. There's some things left in place, and basically this panel really acknowledged that the New York's top court's going to have to get involved. I actually think it could go even higher than that. We'll see. But it is going to be I think it is going to be a very interesting set of events. The question is, how long does that process take? This is certainly, for the meantime, a victory for the president, but most thought that he would be vindicated, or he would get this kind of relief when it went higher in the courts. I don't know of anybody that said he's going to lose this long term as this goes up the food chain in the courts.
I did read, and again, because this is so unprecedented, you just wonder where it's going to go. But the fact is, remember, the court said they violated his Eighth Amendment rights, cruel and unusual punishment, that it's absolutely absurd that they did this.
Right.
And there may be recourse for going after those individuals that violated his civil rights.
Yeah.
Whether that would be Letitia James. We had said that this is an area because, and the next one probably that will fall will be the 34 felonies. But we said, because Democrats are like, how could he be elected? He was convicted. The civil charge, the criminal. It's like, because everybody knows it's bogus.
Right.
There was this false assumption that Democrats had that the only thing in law enforcement or in the justice system that people can find wrong is police officers' actions.
Yeah.
And anything else can't be touched. Well,
Right.
that's ridiculous. The public looked at this and said, rogue prosecutor, rogue judge.
Yeah.
Yep. And so that's one of the reasons Trump is president. There's a lot of other reasons, but that's one of the many reasons Trump is now president today. The public, a ton of independents and even Democrats rejected it and saw it for the lawfare that it is. Now, the penalty is gone. The civil conviction is still there. Right. And I think there were two judges that they couldn't get along, they couldn't get to come along to say, well, this is absolutely ridiculous.
Right.
And as you and I pointed out, the problem with this, and if you're a citizen of New York, you better hope to God that the appeals court gets rid of this.
Yeah.
That they say, sorry, this conviction, the civil conviction, is completely bogus because you're next. Because anything is fraud then. And you and I pointed out a couple of things based on the precedent, because nothing like this has ever been prosecuted in New York, and I dare say in the United States.
Right.
And that's what they were saying. This has never been prosecuted before. What are you doing? What it did was open the door. This isn't like the difference, for example, when they talk about mortgage fraud, whether it's Letitia James or Schiff, is the fact that they lied on tax. The allegation is they lied on tax forms and they lied on the mortgage application, which says under penalty of fraud.
Right.
That's the difference here. Making an appraisal with a bank in a private transaction of negotiating is a completely different ball game than filling out a mortgage application and your taxes.
Well, because, doing things to seek favorable terms when the other parties weren't even involved in this. Letitia James did not get complaints from insurance companies or banks or lenders regarding Donald Trump on this.
Right.
There were no allegations from them saying, oh my gosh, look what he did. He defrauded us. She just made this up. Just like Alvin Bragg did with his 34 counts of nothing. She just made this up and threw it there that basically, if you're looking to gain favorable terms in this negotiation, in any negotiation, and you claim something, when, by the way, on his forms, they were very clear. Do your own due diligence. That's the number one rule, especially in real estate. Your own due diligence. But you could pare this down, as you mentioned, Gary, anybody that lives in New York, if this were to stand, would now be under the threat of, and keep in mind, you don't have to be Donald Trump to be a political threat anymore to the left. It could be one post on social media. It could be a number of things, and they're just going to come at you to break you. If you gain any influence whatsoever, oh, you want to run against Mamdani, or you want to, run for mayor in another town, and you want to run against, you want to run for governor, you want to run for any office, or you just become a person that has influence at all on social media. If you present a problem and get in the way of their agenda, they're coming after you. They've proven this time and time again. And by the way, you might be a Democrat and they could come after you. The mob doesn't care. They don't care. This is absolutely radical abuse of power here by Letitia James. I think the same could be said about Alvin Bragg. And again, over and over again, you've seen everybody was looking. Remember when the Alvin Bragg, the 34 counts were released, and everybody was basically looking at each other going, what? What is this? Well, the Letitia James case had so many different tentacles in terms of its possible reach and effect long term. Again, if it's to stand. If this stands, it means anybody doing business, anybody doing a simple negotiation. Well, I'm going to go trade my truck in. I think my truck is worth $40,000. The dealership says it's only worth $20,000. I'm going to show you everything that I did. I'm trying to gain favorable terms. Well, any effort to do that, and it's based on my own assessment, by the way. This is, it's the most ridiculous approach, but it was a Hail Mary of an approach. Because the idea really was, and is, even if we don't shut him down long term, we put the brakes on his family, being able to operate in New York short term. But you're sending a message to business, anybody doing business in the state of New York through this. And I can't imagine owning a business and coming anywhere close to that state.
And not just business, people in their personal transactions, and we'll tell you what that is, all coming up. 866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Coming up following the top of the hour, we'll get into the specifics and make it very easy to understand what the problem would be if that law that they went after Trump for in fraud actually stays on the books in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe it will. I believe it will be overturned because when you look at the precedent that would create, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Because it's not about you're signing something. You're not signing tax forms. You're not signing any type of legal document, even with a private transaction that says this is the truth under the penalty of perjury. You're negotiating the value of commercial real estate of assets.
Right.
You're doing what you do when you petition that your property tax assessment is too high.
Right. Same thing.
Yep. And we'll get to that coming up.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Hey, it's the last week of the NFL preseason.
All right.
And so let's get into talking about preseason football.
Yay!
I'm kidding. Calm down.
Yay!
People go,
I'm saying yay because I get to go home.
it's like, no! That's how you go. But a new story came out yesterday because it is about this time. I saw that I saw a story yesterday. Lamar Jackson got injured for the Baltimore Ravens. And he's a quarterback. So what happens when we see things like this at this time of the year in preseason as we get closer and you have quarterbacks that start getting injured?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see how injured he was. I just saw that he had an injury. Kaepernick. No, he's not coming back, but there was a story out yesterday. Spike Lee said that his documentary series on the former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick will not be televised by ESPN. The decision was not recent. He told Business Insider on Tuesday, that thing fell apart a year ago. No one had ever asked me about it. I was on a red carpet and a guy asked me a question. I wasn't going to lie. Some wonder whether the project could land elsewhere. According to Lee, it will not. It's done. It's over. No, it's unfortunate, but I mean, I've moved on. That was a year ago. Now, the best thing about it was, and that was that I'm reading that from NBC News, had that. But the best thing, all the speculation on social media. It's that damn Trump.
Yeah, it's anything that doesn't take off for the left in Hollywood now, it's Trump's fault. Colbert, all these disasters that they created. Ms. Now, formerly MSNBC.
Ms. Now, I love that. I mean, that's going to be so much fun.
It's, and I think someone even tied the Howard Stern thing to it,
Trump, yeah.
to Trump. And it's like, all right, everybody calm down. Things end sometimes because, it's time for it to end because it's not working, for other reasons, like Trump, basically just ordered, the firing of Colbert. Look, I'll tell you what, there were 40 million reasons that Colbert didn't work out.
Did you hear the latest one?
Mm.
Is that Howard Stern created the fact that he created the fact that he's going to be let go
Right.
In order, because the audience is so bad right now, in order to create a buzz so when he comes back on again that there'll be a better audience listening to him.
Right.
And I don't know what it is. I mean, it's just. But.
Yeah, I saw that.
And we talked about that earlier. He's not who he was. I actually think I'll see it once in a while on YouTube. He does really good rock interviews. But the only thing I've ever seen on YouTube is Metallica or the Foo Fighters.
Yeah, right.
But the interviews are pretty good. He asked good. But that's not what made him. That's not why people went to him.
Right.
Even when he went to Sirius XM, that's not why they listened to him. They listened to him for poopy and pee-pee jokes, to quote Mr. Bookman from Seinfeld from years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Open up the book and you see pictures of pee-pees and wee-wees. Gosh, he was great. Oh, Philip, what was his name? Philip? The guy.
Don't remember.
Do you remember the episode, Mr. Bookman?
The
library.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was just. They said that's when they knew. I think Jerry said that's when he knew this. They had something. The library thing.
Right.
And it was Philip. Oh, he's a famous actor. I just can't think of his name. He was. He was in. The one with Jim Carrey about being the television anchor. The one based on WKBW in Buffalo, New York.
Bruce Almighty?
Bruce Almighty, yeah.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, when that movie came out, remember he was all mad because he couldn't be a TV anchor? And it was at WKBW in Buffalo, New York.
Philip Baker Hall?
Philip Baker Hall, yes. Yeah.
All right.
Just great. He was the boss in that one. I watched the movie because, I grew up watching that station. And a couple of my, really dear friends worked there. And when that movie came out and I watched it, I had to call one of my friends who was working at WKBW at that time and tell this person, did you see it yet? Bruce Almighty? No, it's about you. And they were in that situation right there where they were not happy with the stories that they had to cover and thought, and by the way, justifiably so, this person, great anchor. And they were having that. I said, you got to watch it. It's about you.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, Philip Baker Hall, just great. Just
yeah, but it's every time it seems like you hear these stories of all these things going down, and the left is trying to blame so many of these things on Trump. It's just, see, this is what happens. Now, this is what happens when someone like Trump is in the White House. Yeah, or it happens because CBS is losing tens of millions of dollars a year.
You and I have been, I look at everybody that got into the business when I did.
Mm-hmm.
All the people that I knew, including my graduating class and the graduating class after me.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody who went into TV and radio. Everyone, and there's probably, I'm estimating between probably 400 and 500 people. And there's the people that I graduated with, and then when I got back into radio, like in 82, there were a bunch of people that I knew that I didn't go to school with, but got into. The last one in radio who was working full-time retired about 2 months ago. There's no one left. I'm the last one left. And in TV, there's one.
Yeah.
And that's the reporter, and I think also anchor, Dan Housley out of Boston. He's works in TV there. Great, just great. We actually hung around a lot in college. And remember, that was one of the reasons. Remember when the Sarnaoff brothers were running around after the Boston bombing?
Yeah, in Watertown, yeah.
And I remember saying to you, because we're following it all, And I said, there were these names out there. And I said to you, Dan Housley has not said they're the names. We're not going with it. If he went with it, I would have gone with it. That's how credible of a journalist I know, because I know him personally, and he didn't do it. But that's it. And my point I'm trying to make is this business is brutal. We are absolutely beyond blessed. You know, when we celebrated our 20th anniversary, you know, people get used to you being on the air. You don't know how unusual it is that you and I are still in this business. It's cutthroat.
Right.
I've been fired for being too successful at a radio station, and they knew they thought I was going to ask for a big raise.
Yeah.
And they said, you've been so successful here. I actually went through this. This goes back decades ago. You've done everything that we wanted you to do. The station is more successful than we ever thought, and the ownership believes that you're going to ask for a big raise, so they're going to let you go and ride this wave out and see how long it goes. And I went to unemployment, and they asked me, why did you get let go? And I had to tell them what they told me was I was too successful in the mission that they gave me, and they didn't want to give me a raise. And he said, come on, stop BSing me. The guy said, that's what they said. Mm-hmm. Well, he went back and asked the general manager, and the general manager told him that. He goes, I went back the next week. This is when you actually had to go physically to unemployment all the time. So you get fired for a variety of different reasons that have nothing to do with the politics or who's in the White House. And sometimes in this business, which is a form of show business, it makes absolutely no sense at all.
Yeah.
And so when we start hearing being in the business, oh, it must have been because of Trump, we're like, no, it wasn't.
No, it's not going to work that way. Look, did ABC go through some things as a result of the lawsuit? Yeah. Do the folks over at CBS, are they concerned in the newsroom based on, things that they put on the air? Probably. There's probably been a discussion about, some things. We know, again, at ABC, they have lawyers on the set of The View, so they don't get sued. And then whatever happened to Stephanopoulos, and now the building of the Trump Library, presidential library, is partially sponsored by ABC.
Oh, my gosh. And now with which we'll get to in a minute, the civil lawsuit. Does Trump have a civil lawsuit against Letitia James? Personally, not
right,
not even suing the state of New York,
right?
But the fact, because you look at what they did there, they violated, and this is the buzz. The buzz is the court said they violated the Eighth Amendment. This was the state court saying it,
right? In New York,
in New York, yeah. And it's like, okay, so it may be the Trump Taj Mahal library. I don't know what the law is about suing in New York, though, so I shouldn't jump on that.
Yeah.
But you did violate, the court has said, you violated, that. Now, I don't know, this is so unprecedented, making up law as you go along, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. I don't know where you go, because I don't think there's any precedent for this as a president making up a law. Because that's what they did. They made up a law. This isn't the fraud law. It doesn't fit the definition of the consumer fraud law in New York City, in New York State. Doesn't fit it. We'll explain why coming up. But but this stuff about, Trump being, no, you sucked. Right. In those cases, it's from what I can see, looking from the outside, it's all about money.
Yeah. It's either working or it's not working.
Right. Or you may be working, but your salary's way too high for the audience that you're bringing in.
That happens in TV all the time. You look at, like Jay Leno had massive ratings. He had them in the wrong demographic. There was a TV show on A&E, and it was the number one show on A&E, but they canceled the show, and it's because you're not in the right demographics for revenue, for ad revenue. You know, Longmire was the TV show.
Oh, yeah. I watched a couple of them, yeah.
Monster ratings, wrong demographics.
Wrong demo.
You know, but you can be highly successful and, as you mentioned, price your way out of something. I've seen it happen time and time again in Hollywood. I've seen it happen a few times in radio.
I just wonder if the speculation, you know, or this is just me speculating, Spike Lee went, you know, you're just boring, Colin. You're not. You know, I may be a far leftist. I'm Spike Lee, but for God's sakes, in order to sell this, you got to have some kind of personality, and you just don't.
There's got to be a hook. There's got to be something.
Got to be a hook. There's got to be something there.
You know, yeah. And that would be accurate. There's nothing there.
But we know that you're all disappointed. No Colin Kaepernick documentary coming out. Yeah. And it looks like no Colin Kaepernick as a quarterback. But there's always next year.
There's always hope for next year.
And there is the CFL.
Yeah.
866, and that's the new league, the Communist Football League that he would fit very well in.
Yes.
866-90-RED-I.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Surviving and thriving as an owner-operator has just as much to do with managing costs as it does with generating revenue. Understanding basic principles of operating costs can save you thousands of dollars a year. Costs are not the same each month. If 9,600 miles are driven one month and 10,000 miles the next, two different sets of costs apply for each month. For example, if your tractor payment is $1,850 per month and you drive 9,600 miles in the month, your tractor payment is costing you 19.3 cents per mile. Drive 10,000 miles, though, and that same payment will cost you 18.5 cents per mile. This is one of your major fixed costs while paying off a truck loan. The difference in this example is only a fraction of a cent, which may seem like small change, but it ultimately amounts to $960 more annually on the bottom line. Because though fixed costs do not go down over time, you can reduce your cost per mile with more paid miles. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more details on this and many other topics. Brought to you by Shell Rotella, with advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We're Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Coming up following the bottom of the hour, we'll get into some of the specifics about the whole Letitia James debacle in New York. And I guess because of interest, it was over $500 million. And this was, you know, there's plenty of other examples of lawfare that they used against the president. This, I believe, probably is the worst case. They're all bad.
Right. Yeah.
Because they tried to, the whole 34 felonies was, again, doing the same thing, creating law where the law doesn't exist. This year, though, with the punishment was to destroy Trump, and that's what the judges agreed on. The judges agreed and came back. All of them agreed violates the Eighth Amendment to the Constitution, cruel and unusual punishment. Absolutely. There were no damages. Nobody was hurt in it. And wait till you see what they tried to do. What they tried to do is, yes, but if Trump had got the banks to agree to his assessment, they would have gotten less interest, and there's the damage.
That never happened.
That never happened. But if, yeah. And so I think one of the things that I find fascinating is the judge in that case, remember, he is the one that kept pushing this, and remember, he is the one that looked at the example of Mar-a-Lago. Remember, he said it was what? I don't have the exact number. What, 14 million or something? Or 14 to 20 million?
Right.
And every single commercial real estate person said, what the hell are you talking about?
Are you kidding me?
And so to use that as an example of why you go forward and as an example of wrongdoing. This was the evidence of wrongdoing for the judge to justify moving it forward, as we said at the time, is such a miscarriage of justice. The judge should be punished. Will he? Probably not. Should he? I don't know, for example, in New York State, what the process would be and what the punishment would be in this case. Right. But it showed clearly that he was sitting over a case that he thought should go further based on being clueless about commercial real estate.
Right.
Catch all 5 hours of the show live every night on the Red Eye Radio app. Available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. All right. To put this civil lawsuit into perspective that everybody can understand, if this law... Well, if this perversion of the law that Letitia James came up with would be allowed to stay in New York, God help you if you live in New York.
Yeah.
It's another reason to move out. And forget about business here just for a moment in negotiating, what your assets are, and you put a certain value on your assets, and the person you're trying to do business with puts another value of the asset on it. There is no fraud in those particular cases. This isn't like, as we have stated before, the allegations against Adam Schiff or even Letitia James. The allegations about them is that they actually lied on mortgage bank applications and or the IRS.
Yeah.
And so those you actually sign under penalty of perjury. In this particular case, when Trump was telling the banks what he thought his assets were worth, the allegation is, well, he overvalued them, and that's the fraud. But nobody was hurt. Yeah, but they would have been hurt. But they didn't think that they were hurt and were willing to do business with him and had no problem with it. If there's no victims, if both parties are happy, yeah, but they might not have been happy. That's not how the law works.
Nope.
But the problem is, let's go to an example of what every single person who owns a home understands. In New York State, how I view this, if this law stands, which I don't believe it will, but if it stood, the precedent that would be set is you get your appraisal for your home, and you're like, no, you've gone way up too far. It's something that we all go through. It's something, you think about it, property taxes, some of the protests that have happened since I've been a radio talk show host in the communities that I've lived in, people get furious. I mean, just livid about it.
Mm-hmm.
So you say, nope, that's not what I believe my house is worth. I believe it's worth this. And you go and you'll look and you'll try to find comps and whatever, that fit, your particular what you believe the value is. Now, what is the actual value of the house? You don't know until you sell it.
Right.
So it's a guess. Nobody knows until you sell the damn thing what it's worth. I don't know why I said damn thing in there. It's like,
Just sell the damn thing.
I don't know that didn't seem to justify a damn, did it?
Like your greatest source of wealth is just this pesky little thing sitting over in the sell the damn thing.
And so I know that I went through it one time, and I went through and looked at my the comps, and I went, I can make an argument and let's just I'll use, these aren't the figures, but I'll use the figures and give an example of what it was like. They came and said my house was worth $300,000. All right, just throw that figure out. We'll make it nice little numbers. And I said, okay, let me look at the different comps out there. Okay, okay. I think I can make the case that my house is worth $200,000. And that way we'll agree to $250,000. This is the first time that I did it. I didn't know how it worked. So, and I had the comps. Well, I went in there, and there is no negotiation. If they say $300,000 and you say $200,000, whatever the decision is, if I'm right and they're wrong, it's $200,000. If they're right, it's $300,000. Well, I lost 2-1.
Yeah.
There was one government appraiser that said 200,000. That shocked the daylights out of me because I went, that's low. I couldn't believe that I'd convinced her. I knew that wasn't the value of my home, but my point was I thought you could negotiate it in between. Under the New York state law, I committed fraud.
Yeah.
Because the real value of my home was what? Not what I would sell it for, because I'm not selling it. It's what the government decided it was.
Yeah.
And that's the final figure. That's the worth. That's the appraisal of my home. And so if you go in and you lose, the state of New York could come after you for fraud, because this is under the consumer fraud law. The other example we gave,
if you go in and you win, and then later they could come in and say, wait a minute, we went back and reviewed this negotiation and you convinced them, therefore you defrauded.
Oh, yeah. You defrauded the appraisers.
You were actually able to get favorable terms. So now we have actual damage that we can put a real dollar amount to.
Right.
And this is where the big case would be.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. You'd be in more problems if you won and they wish to appeal it.
Because if I were going to be a Letitia James type attorney general, then I would think to myself, well, if we're going to do this, let's do this. Let's start reviewing all of the successful renegotiations on the tax valuation from every central appraisal district within the state of New York, because that's what I want to get to. If they were successful at convincing them, then I can put a value, a dollar amount, to what they gained in those favorable terms,
right,
which is damage to the central appraisal district,
the state of New York, right.
And it being taxes, that means damage to the people.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're right. So you could get actual you can actually make a better case because if you won, because you could make the case of actual damages that you defrauded the appraisers. That's a great point.
Yep. And you damaged the central appraisal district and the taxpayer through the CAD.
But under this law, even if you lost,
yes,
you could be charged because, well, if they win though, it doesn't matter. There might have been potential losses that didn't happen.
Well, like if you lie on a loan application and you ultimately don't get the loan, even aside from the lie, you don't get it for other reasons, and they come back and they review that loan application and then find out that you lied, you don't actually make this much anyway, or you don't actually live at this address, or whatever it might be, you could still be prosecuted for loan fraud, even if you don't secure the loan. So in this case, they could still go after you, even if you don't get those favorable terms that you're seeking.
And then the other one that I thought of, which would be more business related, we thought about this way back when, is the MSRP of every vehicle on the lot. Every price tag on a lot, people don't pay.
Right.
But that sets the value. You have that price on the car window. You look at it, that's what they're valuing that car as. It's
Right.
fraud. Nobody pays it. So you're overvaluing someone in order to the negotiation process to get more favorable terms for yourself
Right.
by implying that the actual worth of the vehicle is this amount.
Right.
So every MSRP on every vehicle in New York State is another count of fraud against a dealership or the OEM or both.
Well, because it's
Or both.
manufactured suggested retail price,
Right.
and it would be any party that takes advantage of basically of that effect.
Right. So you can't do that anymore.
Right. Put a question mark on the sticker. Well, because, and we're pointing out how ridiculous this would be if this law were to stand. The damage potentially that it would do, it would crush anybody who's looking to purchase anything of value on an individual basis, and it would crush business big and small.
Oh, my gosh. And think about this. There'd be no American pickers. They'd be in jail.
Right. Right. How dare you?
How dare you? You're negotiating a price.
Well,
and
if they
either side,
especially if you're going to document it with a TV series,
right, exactly,
and you get back to Iowa, and you're at your office going, oh my gosh, this sign we picked up, this old oil company sign, is actually worth $500,000. We gave the guy $5.
And the thing is, though, the judge in the case makes the case by him putting the value of Mar-a-Lago at what he did.
Right.
That every the commercial real estate person went, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
You're talking about the land itself. Forget about the building. The land itself,
right,
is worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Right.
What do you mean the value? It just shows that the judge. Remember the whole Mar-a-Lago thing when he said what it was worth.
Mm-hmm.
That made that he didn't. Did he even realize he was making the case that this should not go to court?
I don't think he did.
He never got it. He never figured that out.
Right.
Everybody else did. I remember the commercial real estate people saying, that judge is nuts. This judge has no clue about commercial real estate,
right.
Yet he's basing the decision to prosecute Trump on something that he is completely and totally clueless on.
Right.
Now, the thing is, did he do that on purpose?
Oh.
That's the point. That's where I say.
In an effort to devalue Mar-a-Lago?
No, in an effort to prosecute Trump.
Oh. Well, I'm looking at like possible damage of devaluing Mar-a-Lago, which, by the way.
Oh, okay. No,
Letitia James, if you're listening.
I was talking about his actions as a judge, but you make a great point. Was he trying to lower the valuation of Mar-a-Lago?
Well, because it was a very dismissive and uneducated statement that he made about that. Remember Donald Trump Jr. posted on X after that going, oh, my gosh, for that amount, I'll take 10. It's because there has been that dismissive, during his first term, they were saying, due to climate change, Mar-a-Lago could be underwater in 5 years. Okay.
Oh,
whatever.
That's why it's not worth hundreds of millions. Okay.
It's there.
The climate change real estate argument,
or anything and everything to make it look like it's nothing. They can't stand that Donald Trump is successful in his personal life and also politically. That just eats at them, and this is why they throw out these desperate moves. These are very desperate Hail Mary moves by the left and the activists that are in office, but they're dangerous because they could affect the people of New York State. They could affect people outside New York State. If you get other AGs in other states that decide, they want to go down this route, or lawmakers in other states that want to go down this route, start targeting you politically, just wait for it. They're not done.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Jonathan Turley commented on the decision yesterday, and we'll have some of that coming up, what he actually said, that you'll want to hear. It's pretty good stuff. Redistricting.
Well,
Newsom, redistricting. Oh, man, it's hilarious. Everything's going on. And I heard Missouri may be next.
Well, Newsom is clearly trying to end democracy in California. I mean, if that's what they're doing in Texas, right?
Right?
Yeah.
And democracy. And
right.
That's stupid because we know that ended a long time ago.
Yep. Exactly.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Hi. Made it to a Friday. All right.
Woo.
Yeah. So cleaning off the desk here. I want to make sure we mention the Jonathan Turley editorial in the New York Post. Headlined, Letitia James' political crusade against Donald Trump was an abomination of the law. And we all know that.
Yep.
Said the problem with all of this is that it costs the people of New York tens of millions of dollars in staff, security, and other costs. It was all just the cost of doing business with James, who ran on the pledge to bag Trump on something, anything, if elected. For James, it was worth it. For her base, the case was never about the merits of the law. James offered lawfare against political opponents, and New York Democrats elected her with gleeful malice. They were thrilled as James suggested she was going to seize the Trump building after the judgment and sought a massive bond. Notably, even the judges who sided with James on her ability to bring the case were critical of her ethics or judgment in running on bagging an individual on unnamed crimes or civil actions. They simply chose not to do anything about it. The blindness was broken by Judge David Friedman, who on the appeal offered an unblinking account of how James abused the legal system. Plainly, her ultimate goal was not market hygiene, but political hygiene, ending with the derailment of President Trump's political career and the destruction of his real estate business. The voters have obviously rendered a verdict on his political career. The bench today unanimously derails the effort to destroy his business. The 5 appeals court judges fractured on the rationale for their opinions. 2 of the judges correctly found that the court's order which directs the defendant to pay nearly $500 million to the state of New York, is an excessive fine that violates the Eighth Amendment of the United States Constitution. The rest of the judges found other reasons to negate the damages while preserving the fraud judgment. In the end, James could not get a single vote on appeal to support Judge Arthur Engoron's ridiculous fine. Engoron, like James, will continue to enjoy the status of a folk hero in New York, but he will go down in history as a judge who yielded to the demands of the mob rather than the law. You know, Turley's talking about it as if this was a success for them. This is an utter failure for them.
Oh, I think so.
Trump's president.
Yeah. Yeah, it's their attempts. In fact, it's a failure in that he won, but it's a failure in that it's believed they helped him win.
Well, even though all the judges didn't agree to it, I believe as this continues to go up, the ranks of the different courts, even all the way up to the federal courts, it's right there. It's an Eighth Amendment violation. They were trying to destroy him.
Yep.
And as that one judge wrote, the goal was to derail President Trump's political career and destroy his real estate business. Yep. You don't hear that. You hear those kind of things coming about a defendant who's been found guilty, not the prosecution.
Right.
And so the fact that that's out there now, you know as well as I do, this gets up to the Supreme Court, boom.
Yeah.
I don't know what type of civil recourse on the federal level, because remember, the civil the civil action Trump would take against Letitia James, however that would work out, because I had said earlier, it depends what the New York state law is. And I realized as I thought about that, no, this would be federal because it's an Eighth Amendment violation to the U.S. Constitution.
Yep. Yeah,
and if you have you made up a law in order to destroy somebody.
Yeah.
Whoa. Can you get her on the purse? Forget about being able to sue. And I don't know. You'd be suing her individually. Is she protected from criminal acts or acts that don't follow the law on the federal level? I don't know.
That's a good question.
Yeah, we'll look into that. But yeah, I mean, when Turley said, that basically this is a win for her, well, I don't know. Who knows if this didn't happen, whether any of the mortgage things, the allegations of fraud of the Department of Justice going after her would even be thought about if this didn't happen. Because if this didn't happen, would Trump be president today? One of the reasons that Trump is president today is because the public realized lawfare was going on against the president.
Yep.
The former president at the time.
Right.
Trump. They realized, wow, as we all did, if the government will go after a former president and make up a crime about him in multiple judicial arenas, you're screwed as a civilian if they want to come after you. That's the message that they sent to me.
Well, that's why, again, I think it's a failure on, a couple of different fronts, the fact that he won, but also the fact that they helped him win.
Yeah.
It's a failure for them. I don't think this is a victory for her at all. And I think long term, in fact, it's quite possible there's going to be repercussions beyond Trump. Because the great concern has to be for anybody and everybody that might be in the sights of the AG's office, politically, big or small. If this were to stand, the damage that it would do to the state of New York and its people.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if the legislature, if this eventually dies down, would clarify the law for fraud. Knowing the effect that it could have on them down the road.
Well, that's it. I mean, because it's going to have, even if she's not, if Trump wins, which we believe he's going to win across the board on this.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that the attempt is over. Doesn't mean, whether it's against Trump or somebody else, that they couldn't come back and try this again somewhere else on another case. If that is going to be a threat, if that's going to be something hanging over the people of New York, business in the Empire State, then people will be leaving in droves. If I had a business there, there's no way I'd be able to stay. I'd be looking for any way out.
Well, if I'm a conservative talk show host in New York, I wouldn't want to be there.
Yeah. It's
because you become a target.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, every major city, if you're a local talk show host, every major city in New York is Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
Looking for a way to come in. And you can't sit there and say, you're being paranoid. What are you talking about? They went after Trump.
They'll go after anybody.
Right. That takes the paranoid right out of it.
Put a Trump sign in your yard. This is, and again, these concerns are based on real things. This isn't, imagine if the Attorney General of New York State did this. She did it.
Yeah.
And the fact that the court said she's within her authority, well, wow. Again.
You mean some of the members of the court. Yeah.
And that if that's believed, whether Trump wins this case or not, which again, we believe he will, that means the threat is there forever until lawmakers do something. The law has to be clarified. Something has to change. A precedent has to be set one way or the other on this. Otherwise, it's open territory. She could tweak a case, make some, a couple of small changes here and there, and go after somebody else and be, successful. And what are you going to do if she comes after you? For him, a $500 million fine. Well, for the average person, what if they come after you and say, all right, it's a $500,000 fine. You don't have a $500,000 laying around.
Here's what I don't know. I know they have malicious prosecution laws in New York for criminal proceedings. New York recognizes a cause for action for malicious prosecution. Now, this could be for the other case, allowing individuals to sue if they were subjected to a criminal proceeding without probable cause and with actual malice, and the proceeding was terminated in their favor. It is a civil tort that provides a legal remedy for the harm caused by the wrongful initiation of charges, not a criminal offense itself. Elements of malicious prosecution claim in New York: the defendant must have commenced a criminal proceeding against you. The underlying criminal case must have been dismissed or otherwise resolved in your favor. Okay, that's not the case. Well, yeah, that would be the case eventually. Yeah, that would be the case. But this is criminal. I'm going to see if just put civil in there and see if it comes up. Yes, New York law recognizes a civil claim for malicious prosecution where the party can sue the party who initiated a baseless criminal or civil lawsuit against them. To win such a claim in New York, you must prove the original case was brought without probable cause, out of actual malice, ended in your favor, and caused you harm.
So he has to just wait for it to go through the process and basically end once and for all in his favor. And if he were to take action, that's when he would do it.
But do you use a New York law to do it, or do you use a federal law if the courts come in and say this was an Eighth Amendment violation, this was malicious prosecution, when Trump sues on the federal level, do you win that way?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is there a federal lawsuit? Because it might be tough to win in New York.
Yeah.
To get the jury.
Right.
This is fascinating. I got a lot of research to do on this, so I got to find out.
Well, no, it is. It's all new territory, and it's huge.
Yeah. The proceeding was motivated by actual malice, such as ill will or improper motive. You have the best evidence in the world for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Her running for office and promising she's going to go after him.
Right.
For anything.
Right. She made that a campaign promise. Which was to say, give me power.
The legal talking heads have to look into this.
Right.
Now, you're not there yet because they haven't dismissed the charges. Mm-hmm. But just by what that one judge would, the two judges said, this was an attempt. This was lawfare, is what two of the judges in the liberal New York Court of Appeals said.
Right.
Now it goes up to the next level in the Court of Appeals. What if they get that verdict? Wow. And they say the Eighth Amendment and malicious prosecution. Can you file New York and federal civil lawsuit? I don't know. Hey, legal heads, people a lot smarter with experience in this. Now, this is unprecedented because it was a former president. But I just wonder where this could possibly go.
Somebody get Margot Cleveland on the phone now.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. Yeah. 866-98-RED-EYE.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Coming up following the bottom of the hour, the Russian cruise missiles hit a U.S. company in that massive Ukrainian strike, which, again, is not a surprise that that Putin did that, because now he's saying, all right, was it all talk? Or are you going to put these sanctions on me? You're actually going to do it? You're actually going to stick together? This is where this is the hard part. This is where the test comes in.
Well, and it's what I felt he's probably doing. Bring everybody in close and go, okay, go ahead. Go for it. Pull the trigger. And that is the ultimate test. That is the ultimate test. He's not to be trusted. And he just wants, no, I'll go to the table. I'll talk with anybody and everybody. Okay, and we agree to this with these conditions in place. And if at some point I don't meet those conditions, you'll do what? Okay, go ahead. I dare you.
Well, whether it was intentional or not, Putin hit an American company that does business worldwide that only produces civilian products.
Right.
So you have to assume, the assumption is he hit it because he's saying, number one, it was a big attack, and that's like, okay, you met with Europe, everybody's sticking together.
Yep.
You say you're going to be tough. You say that you've got the mineral deal here, and therefore you've got a stake in it. We're going to hit an American company.
Yep.
Let's see whether the president and his European allies are really going to, say, and they acted tough. Will they continue to act tough after I do this?
I absolutely believe that is the case. It is not a coincidence at all. This is days after.
Right.
This is days after his meeting with Trump, and let the dust settle on the meeting. And okay, here you go. This is
the chess game.
This is the strategy of a Vladimir Putin, and he's going to dare you to call the bluff. He's going to dare you to take action.
Well, it's who he is.
Yep,
we all knew this
to the core.
Right,
never to be trusted. Forget ceasefire and the fact that ceasefires don't last, and they're a peace deal. I don't trust him to abide by a peace deal. I just don't. And this is one example as to why.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Yeah, I'm telling you, Eric. I mean, in the good old days when we were young, and we talked about this a little bit the other day, but this relates to an article I saw again in the New York Post. Just happened to see it after I was reading Jonathan Turley's stuff.
Uh-huh.
But we were talking about it the other day. It's like, man, I'm glad I'm old. This whole dating thing and politics. It's like,
yeah.
For us, it would be like, it's 1 o'clock. Wow, you're really, really cute. And then when we sober up, she looks and says, oh, my gosh, you're really ugly. What am I doing with you? Well,
I only drank to make myself look more attractive, because when I was drunk, I was very handsome.
And you had every great line, right?
Yeah, like, excuse me, ma'am, does this rag smell like chloroform to you? It almost always worked.
They'd always ask me, what do you want to be in life? And I go, a DJ. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you do for a living? I'm in radio. Oh, great. A charity case. Oh. I'm going to have to house and feed this person.
You never, when I was in the dating age, it was like, what do you mean? You're for Nixon?
Right. Yeah.
I'm old enough. When this has to be, I think it was the fall of '73, when my first year in college at Erie Community College North, just outside Buffalo, and Ralph Nader came in, and all I remember from the speech, it was a big thing. It was in the gymnasium and everything else, and everybody knew Ralph Nader at the time, and the Corvair was still that was a big issue.
Right.
Still back then.
Yeah.
And the only thing I remember from that is when he said, Nixon, Exxon.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the only thing I remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't remember
yeah.
anything else
Right.
at all. I don't think I stayed long because I had to go to work, and it was like late afternoon or something. It was like, Ralph Nader's going to be here. It's like, okay, but I didn't go in. I just wondered, okay, what's he going to say? The only thing I picked up on that was when he said, Nixon, Exxon. And I remember everybody laughed. You laughed. But I didn't take it seriously politically at all. But
Well, and he was a muckraker. For those that don't know,
yes, he was.
he was a muckraker.
Well,
Google muckraker and be careful.
Well, look.
You want to spell it correctly.
At that time, when he was talking about the pollution in cars and everything else, he might not have had my attention since I was driving a 1967 Ford Fairlane GTA 390 cubic inches, 6 miles to the gallon.
Right.
I messed it up one time, and I said 6 gallons to the mile. So I'm going, that's impossible. I go, no, it's not.
Actually, not. No.
And I go, what do you mean? If you're flying a plane, I went, oh, I'm sorry. 6 miles to the gallon, not 6 gallons to the mile.
Well, back in the day, we had full service. So for a couple of my first cars, it was fill up the oil and check the gas. Yeah,
I actually worked at a full-service gas station for 2 weeks.
I did, too. Mine was longer than 2 weeks.
Mine was during the gas rush of 74.
Boy.
Remember?
Thank you.
Well, no, you might not remember. You might have been too young.
I was in mini bike territory.
Oh, man.
That was about the time I hopped on a mini bike, actually, and a buddy of mine had one. And so we had to scrape up enough money for, I don't know, the gallon.
Did you do odd even? Remember, it was like, depending on your license plate, odd even, whatever the numbers were. Your license plate.
I mean, mom and dad did.
Yeah, the mini bike, you just.
Yeah.
The lines would be 1,000 feet long. You'd have 50 cars in line.
Right.
And it's full service.
Right.
Oh, and then I only lasted 2 weeks because they were constantly. I mean, they were open. This gas station was open like I think 24 hours, and so that you had every pump was had a couple of full service people there.
Right.
Somebody took off with $200, so they fired everybody. They didn't take the chance. Somebody robbed because everything
money out of the cash register.
Yeah, because everything was cash.
Yeah.
There was that's the thing. Everything was cash. There was no credit card.
If you had to get out the credit card machine, forget that. That's like getting out the sewing machine or something. It's like, okay, great. Everybody stand aside. Clear off the desk.
But that's how I got the job at the bank.
Mm-hmm.
I remember going home, and I was that would have been in my first year of college. And I said, Dad, they fired me, and he said, well, put on a suit and go down to the bank. I go, no bank's going to hire me.
Yeah.
And
right.
I went down there, and there's a line like 30 people, and HSBC. And, they're saying, thank you so much, thank you so much, thank you so much. I walk up, somebody from Human Resources is right there. There's a line of people right at the reception desk. And they looked at my resume, and they said, oh, okay, engineering? Okay. Now, I was about 2 feet tall and about 20 pounds. I was like Mini Mac.
Mm-hmm.
I was, and I must have looked like a complete dweeb as I did when I was young.
Travel size Gary.
Yeah, travel size Gary in some kind of suit and tie and short that probably nothing matched. And they looked at me and they said,
your mom got it off of a doll?
Yes. And they said, oh, okay, well, sit over there. And I went, why? So I went and sat over on the couch, and they came over, and then they said, okay, you've got a, meeting here with the person from Human Resources. And I went in, they said, we got 2 openings, one in the mailroom and one in adjustments. They said the one in the mailroom pays, I think it was $1.70 an hour. And then we have a job in adjustments, and that pays $3.20 an hour because you'll be working, part-time up to 9 o'clock at night, and that's viewed as second shift with 50 cents extra, which would be $3.70. Well, of course, I said, well, then I want the $3.70. It's like that's $2 more an hour.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, fine, we'll set up a meeting. And I said, oh, one more question. Yes. What's adjustments?
Yeah.
True story. And they said, bill collector. I went,
Yeah.
I remember thinking, I need to reverse this. I don't want to be a bill collector.
Yeah.
But it was too late. Went down, got interviewed. They said, okay, you start whenever, next Monday. And I had asked the boss years later, Bob Watson, great guy, who hired me. I said, why did you hire me? I was a weird dweeb. And he said, did you check everybody that you're working with? We only hired weird people to be bill collectors. No sane person.
To do the job, yeah.
Right, no sane person. That actually was his answer to me.
Yeah.
No sane person would want to do this.
That's a good point.
So it goes, and everybody was a unique personality. Everyone. I mean, just off the wall. So, but when it comes to, again, young men and dating, this is where we started here. Mm-hmm. From the New York Post, young men's shift to the political right has complicated the dating world and led to distrust by women of dating apps, according to Atlantic writer Faith Hill. It's got to be a liberal, who appeared on CNN on Thursday. Hill argued that women's growing distrust of dating apps stems from men, young men in particular, becoming conservative while young women are becoming more progressive. This goes back to a story that we did earlier this week. Mm-hmm. Leading the sexes growing further apart in a lot of ways. You see that young men are moving further to the right. Young women are becoming more progressive. And I think for a lot of women in particular, it can just sort of feel like this is not a time where I trust men. I feel respected by these men, but I don't necessarily want to go out and meet strangers who are men. That made no sense. According to the Atlantic writer, this social phenomenon is happening during a time when the Trump administration is seen as stripping away reproductive rights and protections against gender discrimination. Are you kidding me? The biggest gender discrimination is Democrats.
Yes.
You know, the thing is, I hear this all the time, and I know it's true demographically that women are more to the Democratic Party. The women that I know are incredibly conservative. Mm-hmm. To me, I don't sit there and go to women's cigar bars. I just made that one up.
Yeah.
You know, it's like going into a cigar.
There's got to be one.
Well, it's funny because a buddy of mine belongs to a cigar bar. He smokes. I don't smoke cigars.
Yeah,
but,
I don't either.
But he does, and they go in there. It's conservative talk.
Yeah, yeah.
And he walks in there, he goes 90% chance they're conservative, and so they all chat whatever. So I just figured a woman's cigar bar would be conservative. I guess they don't keep women out of the cigar bar, but there are no women that are there.
Well,
that's self-segregation.
It's like a Rush concert, the band Rush. Women aren't prohibited, but they don't show up. Yeah, it's all strange to me. While I know plenty of liberal people, including women, most of the women I know are conservative.
Yeah, me too.
Having grown up in Texas, I think that's part of it, a big part of it. But it is, and not just because of my age, but I can't imagine the dating process for young people today. What has happened has really become interesting to watch. That people don't want to get attached socially. They don't, because for the guy, let's say it's a guy who's more on the right, And he doesn't mind dating women who aren't on the right, but he's afraid of getting the activist, right? Of all of a sudden you go on a couple dates, then you find out she's a full-on activist, and it's like, oh my gosh. So you really don't approach. And for the women, it's a lot of guys supported Trump, so I'm going to pull back, and I'm not going to. And I think it's a very interesting dynamic in an age group that already has very low birth rates.
Mm-hmm.
We're not creating more humans as a society.
I don't buy the argument. She's a liberal, so she's making the argument that it's about sexism and abortion.
That's a front.
Abortion is not, I'm telling you right now, abortion is not even close to being a big issue. We saw in the last election as it was 30 years ago.
Right.
Not even close to being a big issue.
Right.
They're making that up as they go along.
Mm-hmm.
And the sexism, the misogyny, I don't know how women don't see it in the radical transgender movement. It's
very
so crystal clear.
Men are taking over women's sports.
Right.
In fact, that was the big driver politically
right.
of women's issues,
Yeah.
even over abortion in 24.
Right. I think they just hate Trump.
Yeah.
I think it's that simple. I don't
Right.
think it's issue related.
Right.
I think it's emotional related. We don't like this guy.
Right. Yep.
866-90 Red Eye.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
It is Red Eye Radio. We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome, and good morning. Thanks so much for being here. One more thing on that New York Post story about dating apps and conservative men and liberal women. One thing that I read, it's too long to do right now, but I got to read it because it's just like, oh, shut up.
All right.
And then the whole redistricting effort. Another NFL story. Fans are really, really ticked off after they find out that one of the billionaire owners of a football team has a yacht, yet building a new stadium, and the taxpayer has to pay the freight on it. Well, wait a minute, you're rich, as if they're just finding out that NFL owners are billionaires.
They're just
and
learning
rich.
it.
Yeah, it's like, what are you talking about? What? You need to pay more. It's like, why?
Mm-hmm.
You suckers will.
Right. You guys decided to do this.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. So we're talking about this author in the Atlantic who and this was actually, I found this in the New York Post, but this was a reprint from Fox News saying young men shifting to the political right has caused women to distrust dating apps, says Atlantic writer. And you and I were talking about during the break that everything is coming from a woman's point of view, that it's the guy's fault.
Right.
When you're reading it, you're just like, what? You can see in the surveys that there is this kind of resentment among a lot of men, a kind of backlash to Me Too, a backlash to women gaining financial independence, going to college more than men now, where, among Gen Z, even far more women who identify as feminists than men, she noted. That's a load of horse manure.
Yeah.
Hill contended that there is a real feeling among women that the larger political backdrop is seeping into individual relationships, making it much more difficult to trust others. Later in the discussion, this writer, the female writer, brought up the idea of hetero pessimism. That's why I had to continue talking about this after the top of the hour.
Okay.
Hetero pessimism, which is a social phenomenon in which heterosexual individuals become disaffected by the prospect of being in a relationship with someone of the opposite sex. You hear a lot of people talk about this idea of hetero-pessimism today. Have you?
I heard it, what was it, 30 seconds ago? For the very first time.
Which I think just gets at this idea that there are a lot of people, a lot of women particularly, who are fed up by the way they're being treated by men on these apps, and with this kind of a backdrop of hearing about how few men would call themselves feminist, or the kind of whole manosphere of resentful single men becoming this kind of cultural force that is swaying elections, she argued. This is a load of horse manure.
Yeah, it's garbage.
Golly, what a load of crap. Now, first off, not that I, the single one of the show, should be giving dating advice. So maybe some life advice. Maybe get off the stupid dating apps, go join clubs, become involved in activities, and meet people that way.
Yeah.
Get to know
face to face.
Get to know people. Don't get into the mentality of, okay, I'm going to a dating app to see if there's a woman that I can date. And after a couple of dates, I'll never see her again because we aren't sexually compatible.
How about you just go meet people
and talk to them and get to know human beings and get to know why relationships really last?
Well, I was fortunate. For me and my wife, it was love at first sight, or as she calls it, stalking. And it doesn't. We actually met at a radio station, and it in today's world, there's been a moving away of an exiting of the social life part of our lives for a while. A big part of it was COVID, but I think it was building to that in the virtual world anyway. But you make a great point in that, okay, you've got an app, and the point of the app is to find a picture to date. Think about that. Or it could be, I guess, they put videos on there. I guess they could put videos on there. I don't know. But that's a virtual person. That's not somebody you've even learned anything about. And it's kind of like, to me, it's actually would be speed dating accelerated. You know, the speed dating thing. Mm-hmm. And I guess they're still doing that. I don't know. And it should always be about developing a relationship. My wife and I, when we first started dating, you have to have that conversation about, what you think about things and life and raising children and all of that thing. In today's world, I'm completely lost. 35 plus years later, 36 plus years later, mm-hmm. I would be lost. And it's not just because of my age. Because I haven't been in that scene, but I can't imagine a young person what you do. It would have to be, and I have, one of my granddaughters has a boyfriend, and they've been dating for 3 years. We know his family. They're both in college. They're a great pair together. They are very compatible. They are very good friends. And that's rare for that age group. She's one of the twins. They'll turn 19 on Monday. That's rare for that age group. And they both know what they want to do individually, and what they're trying to do with their degrees and their careers ultimately, and all of that. They have goals, and the dating thing is just part of it. Well, if your goal is to log on and virtually find somebody, that's kind of a long shot.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's almost like the crypto market. Okay, I'll just invest in this one and see what happens.
It's crypto dating.
Crypto dating. Because you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know where it's going to go.
Well,
you're blind. And it's not that you have to make a commitment, but if the idea is, develop a relationship, not just go to a movie. Going to a movie, you can go to with friends.
Right. Talking.
Right.
Finding out about them,
which is how it should be if ultimately you would like to date someone. I'm, again, not an expert, but it's just logical to me that you would want to get to know someone and then determine if you have an interest of getting to know them better. I mean, that's the way it used to be said back in the day. I'd like to get to know you better.
The women that became girlfriends, that we got serious. Not just somebody I may have known for a short time and dated a couple of times, and they looked at me and said, as the one said to me one time, something. And this is a woman who I wanted to date, but she was a listener. I met her through a listen. Not a good idea. Who was like, oh, you're so this and you're so that, and I hear this and I hear that, and I said, no, my life is really boring. It's not as I understand. I love my life and I find it exciting. But if you're talking about the pop culture kind of the way that you're looking at me, that my life is so exciting, it's wrong. And so we only went out half a date. I picked her up. She was drunk.
Oh no. Yeah.
So that didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And then she called me up screaming at me and she said, something, you're right. Your life is boring. And what react did I become enraged? Oh man, I laughed like crazy. But every woman that I'm trying to think. Yeah, every woman that I've been serious with is one of my dearest friends today. And I can actually say I love every single one of them. We're not compatible, but I love them. And I got to know them. And a lot of them, as we've gone through life, don't have the same political beliefs that I have. I know they would do anything in the world for me. I do anything in the world for them. Mm-hmm. Having a discussion with a young person the other day, and they were saying, what's the most important thing? And I said, probably trust, because love and everything is based on trust. I said, everything else that pop culture throws at you is a load of garbage. It really comes to that. And so when you look at it and you see this, you're like, well, if you're going to a dating app, don't go to a dating app. Go meet people. Go get to know people. Get to know people that, and talk to them and have conversations with them and find out what their dreams are and what your dreams are. Learn to build a relationship, and that is learn to build trust with people.
Right.
And, to me, that's about the best you can do. And if it goes to a relationship, great. If not, you've got somebody who can trust you and you can trust them. And there's nothing better in life when you have that. And the other thing, the final thing I would say, to combine two topics, one from yesterday, the other day, because we had talked about this earlier, but this week, but the story yesterday that would fit in this, because this Atlantic writer is talking about all liberal women. She didn't mention conservative women. She didn't talk about it from the male point of view or the conservative woman point of view. It was simply liberal women. Women assume that women are liberal, and so they don't want to date conservative men. There's the other thing, as we brought to you yesterday from the Pew Research poll and the Rasmussen poll, roughly 50% of women under the age of 40 self-identify as mentally ill.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out for a discussion.
Well,
because
just discuss. again, I mean, if someone is suffering from a mental illness, they definitely should.
I said liberal women, right?
Yeah,
liberal,
yeah. They should definitely seek to do something about it. They should get help.
Oh, absolutely.
But the problem is that ultimately, if that's going to be kind of your and we have seen it in some cases. If that's going to be your level of virtue signaling, number one, I don't think that's healthy. I'm not a doctor, but that doesn't appear healthy to me.
I don't think you need to be a doctor to throw out that hypothesis.
Yeah, which is why I felt confident in doing it. And I think also beyond that, when you're developing a relationship, if you get into that situation, you have that conversation down the road. In other words, don't put it on your profile on the app. Get to know people and then find out, all right, you have conversations and there will be something about each of you that you're going to share that you
I think
probably shouldn't share on the app.
Probably.
And then you learn about people.
I'm 27 years old. I'm a Democrat. I'm mentally ill. And looking for I don't know what you've been looking for at that point, but yeah, probably you should, if you self-identify as mentally ill, it shouldn't be on your dating app or your resume or LinkedIn profile.
Yeah. I would say avoid that.
Well, we also talked yesterday about the fact that, that number, as I said, I'd like Jordan Peterson to analyze all of this.
Right. Because these are people that self-identify as having mental health issues, mental illness.
And we wonder, is part of that victimhood, is part of that the brainwashing?
How much of it is accurate?
How much of it is accurate? Yeah. There's so many variables in there you would have to look at, isn't there? Yeah.
But if it's done, again, if somebody wears that on their sleeve and uses that seemingly as virtue signaling, there's something else going on there.
So I'm heading to the singles bar tonight to see if I can pick up some chicks.
Wow. They still have singles bars?
I have no idea.
That's a good question.
Not for my age.
No.
Every time I say that, I think...
You know what we call those?
What?
Homes.
Senior citizen centers.
Assisted living.
Every time I say that, we go pick up chicks, I think of Banya on Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Look at me. Look, I'm huge. I'm going to go pick up some chicks.
I'm going to be, if I'm one day in a assisted living, I'm going to be screaming, "Where's our server?"
No. We're going to be in the Jim Brewer home.
Mm-hmm.
Remember? It's all going to be heavy metal by the time.
I'll be playing some of that heavy metal.
Heavy metal concerts going on.
Right.
It'll be cooler. It'll be cooler than what the young people are doing.
You pipe down, Louise. I'm playing Run to the Hills.
866
Iron Maiden.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at JJ Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on speed and space management. In order to manage speed, you need to understand the 4 factors involved in stopping a vehicle. Perception distance is the distance a vehicle travels from the time you see a hazard until your brain recognizes it. The perception time for an alert driver is approximately 3/4 of a second. Reaction distance is the distance a vehicle travels from the time your brain tells your foot to move from the accelerator until your foot hits the brake pedal. The average driver has a reaction time of 3/4 of a second. Brake lag distance also needs to be taken into account. When operating a vehicle with air brakes, it takes about half a second for the mechanical operation to take place. Finally, braking distance is the distance it takes a vehicle to stop once the brakes are applied. Braking distance is affected by the weight, length, and speed of the vehicle, as well as road condition. This tip was brought to you by JJ Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Well, James Carville might self-identify as mentally ill. Veteran Democratic strategist James Carville used some colorful language on Wednesday in describing how the Democrats should go after Vice President JD Vance for taking a vacation to the Martha's Vineyard of England. During the latest episode of his Politics War Room podcast, he blasted Vance for both stumping for the big, beautiful bill and planning a vacation to a resort in England, which he called the Martha's Vineyard of England, suggesting that they were evidence that Vance does not care about working-class Americans. Is that what's left of Carville's arguments?
Wow. I guess that's the best you got.
Use J.D. Vance and just kick the blank out of him every chance you get, he said in a message to the Democratic Party. I have to say this since it's not the end, but we're closing, getting to the last portion of the Friday show. We didn't think last Friday that we could top last week, and we did with everything that happened.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that just made me think here, looking at Carville going, he's losing it. What will it be next week? What will we be doing a week from now at this time going, oh, please get us to the Labor Day weekend. We got to get out. These people are nuts.
Well, inevitably, it'll be about this time next Friday because it'll be the day before we start our vacation.
We may need one.
One big crazy send-off from the left.
Make it a good one next week.
Yeah.
His name's Carville.
Come on, dig deep, Carville.
Because I saw that when I saw he demands Democrats kick the S out of J.D. Vance, I'm like, over what, over what, over what, over what? Vacationing in Great Britain.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
How dare you?
They're done.
How dare you?
Vance has no chance in 2028. It's over.
It's over. If he just wouldn't have gone on that vacation in Great Britain, things would have gone very differently. Wow.
I know.
Catch all 5 hours of the show live every night on the Red Eye Radio app. Available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. You know, I was just talking to you during the break, and we were chatting about the fact of where's AOC?
Haven't seen her.
You really think about it, the last week and a half, it's all been Newsom and Jasmine Crockett everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you haven't seen her much.
And then yesterday, Jasmine Crockett was she doing Newsom's podcast, I guess? They were together. Here's Jasmine Einstein talking about ICE with Gavin Newsom.
All right.
ICE, for the most part, is nothing but a ride. That's all they were supposed to do for the most part, right? It's like, you know what? This person is undocumented, or this person re-enters the country illegally, all the things, and then they have an ICE hold. And then ICE gets them so that they can then send them out. That's all ICE is supposed to do. Look at them as a fancy Uber driver for immigrants. That's all they're supposed to do. And now they're running into places and doing raids, and they're falling all over each other, injuring each other. Like, we are a joke, but it is a bad nightmare of a...
What the hell is she talking about?
What? She just kind of babbles on, doesn't she?
I know. It's just... Is she on a dating app?
Well, remember back in the day, if someone was a good speaker, it meant, oh, they're going to do well politically. Mario Cuomo.
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't say anything, but
right. Exactly.
but he was a great speaker.
Reagan.
I remember saying that one time when I worked in New York.
Yeah.
And I said, everybody's like, he's a great speaker. He's such a great speaker. He's such a great speaker. I said, but he doesn't say anything.
Doesn't say anything. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like George Clooney.
Right.
Listen to him. He sounds like he knows what he's talking about.
Blah, blah,
well, he doesn't. It's blah, 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 blah. He says nothing.
You know those 15-hour videos they have on YouTube to help you sleep, like pouring rain? They should just put 15 hours of George Clooney talking to help you go to sleep.
But with everything going on,
but
you couldn't do. Go ahead.
My point is that it used to be the case that that's what you would build toward if you were going to be relevant or if you were going to be the new star of the party. And now it's not the case at all. Jasmine Crockett is the prime example of that. She just sounds like a babbling fool. She's just doing what really is the equivalent, in fact, nothing more than a TikTok rant.
That's a great, wow, I like that.
That's all it is.
That's what Democrats have become, TikTok videos.
Yeah, they have.
That's a great point.
Everything is to become viral. They're not talking about anything meaningful whatsoever. And they're not making exceptional points, even for their own agenda. It's so empty. Is it a wonder that the party is hemorrhaging? We brought that story earlier this week, and because you think about what do you gravitate towards, right? What do we as a society? What does a voter gravitate towards? You and I said it and have been saying it for years. When Donald Trump walks in the room, he owns the room. Now, depending on which building he's in, he might literally own the room. But he is, if you want to say rock star, he gets all of the attention. He's the reason in that room.
Well, he's a rock star to his base.
Right.
He's the rock star who promotes Satan. He's the Satan rock star to Democrats.
Right.
Because remember, the Democrats have now gone beyond Hitler to Satan.
Right.
Because we asked where they're going to go after it. And we did say, well, it's got to be Satan. And then they went there.
They went Satan. But you see it. He has these great receptions when he shows up somewhere. You've seen the UFC fights and everything else, and people are just cheering him. Well, you really do gravitate towards that. It's something that's going to get your attention, and as long as that person's in the room, they got your attention. Whereas Jasmine Crockett gets your attention for another reason. Like, who is that making all of that insane noise? Train wreck kind of reason. Where you really don't want to look. It's not something you're drawn to that inspires you to act on it. And I think that's the left. I think she sums up what's going on in the left. I think the same thing with Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom doesn't even have the viral thing going for him. The performative thing Gavin Newsom hasn't been able to perfect that yet. I don't think he ever will. I think he's boring. Politically, he's boring. Say what you will about Trump. He's not boring.
Well, the problem that even a Gavin Newsom has is what we saw when, remember, he was asked the question on the radical transgender movement. And it was the hemming and hawing where people now know, because one thing, I think one thing in our society right now is if you're blunt and have a half-coherent message, it resonates.
Yeah.
But when you hem and haw on a consistent basis, and you're always people can look at you and say, he's trying to think of how to make this more palatable to everybody who's listening. They know it, and they don't like it. I do think that there is more of a recognition of bull.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so, too.
I really
I'm
think,
with you on that.
I really think there is now. And I think young people know, especially young people know when they're being BS'd. That's why when we brought up that story this week, it was one of the, I think, most interesting stories, outside of the current events.
Mm-hmm.
But the stories that came out was that the college students, that the vast majority, and even liberals, are very calculated in college. They go along with it because they want to pass. They don't agree with it. But to them, the liberal professors, even to liberals, because the majority of even students that call themselves liberals aren't as nuts and crazy as the professors.
Right.
And so they just go along to get along, but it means nothing to them. They just tune them out.
Yeah.
And as we've said, and when we read the story, we said, well, that creates a tremendous amount of distrust. You can't communicate, the whole thing about education. Mm-hmm. And I talked about when I used to do Dr. Sachs's classes at the late political science professor at the University of Texas at Arlington. Best thing ever. Mm-hmm. Every student knew nobody was BSing them. Dr. Alan Sachs wasn't. I wasn't when I was speaking to them. And you could have a great back and forth. Now, I didn't yell at them. I just brought up ideas. Some would get excited, but it was great to go, no. Well, I may get in trouble for saying this. No, you won't. Say it. Go ahead. We'll argue it.
Right.
We'll debate it. We'll have fun. I'll buy a cup of coffee afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. Let's go for it. And it was so much fun. And the students loved it. They loved because you weren't BSing them. And that's what's happening today. They're BSing the young people.
Yeah. Right. That's a great point. If it's all based on lies, and keep in mind, we've heard you and I from the rank and file on the left over the years, we're okay with the lies. We're okay with the lies. Actually, at some point, you're not going to be okay with the lies anymore.
Well, I mean,
because you're going to understand, well, wait a minute, what is it that I'm buying into then? What is it that I'm a part of? And if I can't sell it based on the truth, then what is it that I actually believe?
When Jasmine Crockett said, I'm supposed to be just Uber drivers.
Yeah.
No, they're not. That's a complete lie.
Right.
They're immigration and customs enforcement.
Yep.
They're not drivers.
No.
If you want the drivers were the ones driving the buses
mm-hmm.
to New York and Chicago.
Right.
No. They enforce immigration and customs laws.
Right.
That's what they do.
Yep.
They're law enforcement. But she throws out the big line. Newsom, the funny thing is, the camera goes back to Newsom. He's just sitting there with a dumb smile on his face like, how am I going to get out of this one?
Right.
Well, don't let an idiot, imbecile, moron, I don't know where to put the classification for. In case you don't know, that's how we started the show.
Yeah.
We had Eric last week. We were trying to decide whether somebody was an idiot or a moron, and Eric said moron. Well, we had a doctor who wrote to us and said, actually, in the IQ test, there's
moron is smarter than idiot.
Moron is smarter than idiot.
Imbecile's in the middle.
Imbecile's right in the middle of it.
Right.
So it's idiot, imbecile, and moron.
Right.
But
Which
I
is
think
why I'm a moron.
But that's what he was looking. And I'm not as great as you, so I'm an imbecile. And so you look at Newsom, and he's like, I don't know where to go from here.
Right.
Because he doesn't know where to go.
Well, because she's
he
doing her little TikTok thing, which doesn't mean anything. And it's just like it is the exact same value of your average TikTok video. And I don't mean where the older guy shows you how to tie two ropes together in a knot that will never come undone. I mean, it's something useful, you know. The other side of TikTok that is just blabbering and baseless.
Yeah.
And not truthful.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you hear from her. She's doing her TikTok thing, and Newsom's over there just with that weird bobblehead smile he's got.
Right, because he doesn't know where to go. And we said this about Democrats earlier this week when, the whole discussion again going on. They're trying to figure out what's the problem. I mean, and the public says the Democrats don't stand for anything. And Democrats say we don't stand for anything. They're still BSing you.
Yep.
They stand for a lot. They just can't sell it. So they're trying to figure out how to lie to you in a different way.
Yep.
We got to find a different way of BS. Well, we know exactly where they stand. It's not hidden.
No,
but this is the part that gets to me. They BS about the BS.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Well, we're trying to. What is our message? Well, the message is out there. You're for open borders.
Right.
You're for criminal activity on the streets.
Right.
You're for defunding the police. You're for chaos.
Yeah, we know what this is.
We know this. You're for the politics of racism and identity politics and anti-Semitism.
Yep.
You promote the misogyny of the radical transgender movement, and you're okay with threatening women if women don't want men playing their sports. That's what you're about. All those things are what you are. You're trying to find a new way to define those things, and you can't come up with one.
Right.
But don't say you don't stand for anything, or people don't think you don't stand for anything. Everybody knows exactly where you stand. You just can't find a new way to, I almost said the word, BS the American public.
Right.
866-90-RED-EYE.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Download our Red Eye Radio app today. Our show ends in an hour, and when it does, our show becomes our podcast. So if you missed any of the show, you can listen to it on our podcast. And if for some reason you cannot listen to one of our great radio stations live overnight, we carry all 5 hours live on our Red Eye Radio app.
And thank you.
Well, the woman that held the sign up at the rally, the pro-trans rally in Virginia that said, hey, Winsome, if trans can't share your bathroom, then blacks can't share my water fountain. Oops.
Wow.
Oops. We'll get to that story coming up here in a little bit. I heard the woman was like, oh, we were trying to make a point. Yeah, what point?
Yeah, what point is that?
You trying to compare Jim Crow laws or slavery to the radical transgender movement of men playing against women?
Sure sounds like it.
And men exposing themselves to women in locker rooms and vice versa? Really now?
Yeah.
Wow.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.